Hey friends, it's Buffaque again coming to you tonight with another interesting video. This is kind of a two-part thing. It's going to be a knife review as well as a brief, interesting, hopefully you'll find it interesting little story. The knife I'm featuring tonight is the Spyderco Grasshopper. This is a really underrated knife in my opinion. This is one of the only knives you can purchase from Spyderco for a price that's under $50, I'll say. There may be a couple others that are just under $50, not counting any of the Bird series knives, but this is well under $50, and you aren't really giving up anything in terms of quality. Maybe the steel, okay, not the greatest quality of steel. This is 12C27 steel, so not a great steel. I don't know a whole lot about it, but thus far, I mean, it's got the factory edge, feels nice and sharp to me. This is just an incredible knife that I picked up for about $20. And the reason I'm doing this video is because I recently went on a little day trip to Smoky Mountain Knife Works as well as Bud's Gun Shop in Sevierville, Tennessee to meet someone. And this was the knife I purchased on that trip. So I've done a few things to the little Grasshopper here, as well as just some basic things that you see in most of my knife videos, like the lanyard here. I did do an engraving on the steel here, just with a simple little engraving tool, so nothing fancy there. This is the first time, however, I've done my own jimping. The Grasshopper is the largest in a series of knives from Spyderco known as their Bug series, and none of the knives in the Bug series have jimping, and I thought it would make an interesting little task for myself, if you will, trying to do my own jimping, and it came out all right. It's not, it's not perfect, but it's okay. It feels pretty good, definitely better than it was before. And if you look at any of their knives, this, like I said, this is the Grasshopper. The middle size is the Honeybee, and then the smallest is the Bug. They all have a smooth textured back here with no jimping, and I personally like to have a little something back there on the back there for your thumb to kind of grip into. So between the engraving, the jimping, simple little lanyard, and the most obvious thing here, I added a thumb stud. The knife, before I added that thumb stud, this knife could not be opened one-handedly, okay, or at least I couldn't. I certainly couldn't get it open with one hand. But after adding the thumb stud that I've done here, it's feasible, okay? It's not perfect. I'm still getting used to it, as you can tell, and I may remove this. I made this myself. Just a simple bolt and nut with a locking washer in there. That's all it is. But I don't know. I'll see if I like it. So far, I think it looks kind of neat, just for the simple fact of it's unique. You'll probably never see another Grasshopper exactly like this, just because this is what I chose to do with mine, and I think it looks kind of neat. Anyway, so the reason I purchased this knife recently, like I said, was because I took a trip to Smoky Mountain Knife Works in Sevierville, Tennessee, where I had the chance to finally meet the Godfather himself, Mr. Hickok45. And I've got to say, what a neat experience. He's exactly like you would imagine. Perfect gentleman, humorous, knowledgeable, very educational. I think I was expecting maybe him to be a little bit more dry. I don't mean that in a negative sense, but I think I thought he would be a little bit more dry. And honestly, in the meet and greet he had there at Bud's Gun Shop, he was very humorous. He cracked a lot of jokes, and he kind of had the audience, the little crowd there, kind of laughing quite a bit, and just really knows how to talk to folks and how to entertain a crowd. So it was an incredible experience. It was for about 2 hours. He did about an hour of talking, answering questions, everything from what is your opinion on X firearm all the way down to have you ever had any accidental discharges, or what's your favorite cleaning oil to use on your Colt single actions, and things, I mean, from very general all the way down to very specific, and he answered everything. Big John was there with him as well. Big John was pretty much exactly what I expected. He basically hung back, and occasionally his dad would kind of fire a question over to him, and he'd respond with, if you've watched Hickok's channel, John is he's a man of few words. He's pretty articulate, but he's a man of few words, and he was pretty much the same way while we were there. So the first hour was kind of him talking to the crowd and answering questions, and the second hour was basically a chance for everyone to talk with him personally, take pictures, get things signed, and things like that. So when he walked in, he brought with him a stack of targets in his hand, and as he walked in, there were a couple of younger people in the crowd. I'll say maybe early high school. Maybe one young man seemed like he was maybe even a middle school age student, and Hickok kind of passed out a couple targets to some of the younger kids he saw there right off the bat, which I thought was really neat. It certainly excited the kids. And when he finished talking with or talking to the group of people that were there, he set the targets down on a chair and said, basically, take what you like. You can pick through the stack there and see if there's anything you're interested in. They're all targets I've done in various videos over the last 6 months to a year, and if you're interested in any of them, just grab yourself one. And basically, as soon as he stopped talking and he moved to a different part of the store for everyone to line up and meet him, there was like a mad crowd that just ran to the targets, and everybody just basically grabbed one, including myself. I didn't really look to see what it was. I was just tickled to get one. So the one I happened to grab was as you see, it's the Magnum Research Chapter 2 on the BFR, the Big Friendly Revolver, as he puts it. I can think of a different word, but in 45 ACP, and as well as he signed it and dated it here of December 18th, 2017. I was just blown away to get this thing. I didn't plan on getting anything from him. Didn't really even plan on having him sign anything. All I wanted was to meet him and take a picture with him, which my wife and I did. We took a picture with him, and a neat thing was I knew that Hickok is a Spyderco fan, and he's really, as far as I've seen, he's really only done one video out of the thousands of videos he's done. He's really only done one video where he talks about his knife. But as you obviously know, huge Spyderco fan, and so I was very interested in seeing if he had his Spyderco with him that day. So when my wife and I got up to take our pictures with him, I introduced myself and spoke with him for, I don't know, maybe about 60 seconds before we took our picture. And as we lined up next to him to take the picture, I said, "Hey, do you happen to have your Spyderco with you?" And he kind of looked at me and grinned and said, "Yeah." And he kind of chuckled and pulled it out of his back pocket. And I'm sure he was thinking, why are you asking me that? That's a very out-of-nowhere question. It's just not related to firearms. And I pulled I think I had my Salt, it was my Salt 2 I had with me that day, and I pulled it out of my pocket and said, well, let's have our Spydercos here in this picture. I thought that'd be kind of a neat thing. And so he said, oh, yeah, sure. And without skipping a beat, Big John flipped out his Spyderco, the police model. It's like an Endura 4, but even bigger. It's a huge knife, and he flipped that thing out, and he was like, "Yeah, I guess I've got mine too. Here, I'll take mine in the picture too." And so, so that was kind of a neat, kind of a geek out moment for me, standing next to Hickok45 and Big John, and we're all, posing with our Spydercos and my little target that I got here. So. Anyway, just thought you guys would find that story interesting. Like I said, he's basically what you would expect. Perfect gentleman, very entertaining, very tall. He's a very tall man. He and John are both extremely tall. I knew that they were big guys from their videos, but standing next to him, I'm 6 foot even, so I'm just kind of an average height. But standing next to him, I felt like a child. they are both really large men. One guy who took his picture with Hickok, I thought it was humorous. He was in front of me. He had his hand out and had Hickok put his hand next to his, kind of like this here, to show the size difference in the video, just the size difference of his hands. It's just such a big guy. You know, makes so many of these, you know, like he can make a K-frame revolver look like a little pocket snubby. So just kind of an interesting experience, an interesting guy. Really glad I got to finally meet him. He doesn't live all that far from me, but with his channel in the past, I tend to always find out about it after it's happened. He says, hey, I'll be at such and such place this weekend, and I have a nasty habit of watching that video where he states that about 2 days after he's actually been there. So this time I was actually able to make it out, meet him, and certainly enjoyed it. Like I said, he's a nice guy, very knowledgeable, and a Spyderco fan. So you know he's a good guy. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the guy's video. Kind of a silly thing, but thought you guys might enjoy it. If you ever get the chance, watch his video. It's titled Magnum Research BFR 4570 Revolver Chapter 2. The target he shoots in that video is this one right here. This is it. I got the lucky winner here. So anyway, hope you enjoyed it, guys. We'll see you next time.